Hi everyone, and welcome to today's yoga practice. Today we're going to be doing a hip opening practice. What you're going to need for this is a yoga block. If you don't have a yoga block at home, don't yet let that prevent you from doing this practice. Just use something else that you have around the house, whether it's a big book or something similar in size that can hold your weight. When you're ready, go ahead and grab your prop and then have a seat on your mat and we'll get started. So have a seat on your mat, grab hold of your block, and just gently place it underneath your sitting bones so that you're able to sit nice and tall and your pelvis is tilted forward. Bring your hands to lie on your thighs, palms facing up, and go ahead and take a mudra. So you can take your index finger to your thumb on each side. And then relax your shoulders, let your arms be heavy. Go ahead and close your eyes and bring your awareness to the space between your eyebrows. As you breathe in, scan your body to see if you can find any source of tension through your face. And then as you exhale, see if you can release any of that tension, whether it's the space between the eyebrows or the corners of the eyes, maybe the forehead, the jaw. Just aiming for relaxation through the face. And then once you've made your way through the face, see if you can relax your shoulders as you exhale, allowing your collarbones to be nice and broad. Bring your awareness to your right index finger and thumb. And as you inhale, follow the breath all the way up through the right arm, across the chest. And exhale, follow the breath down the left arm and out through the index finger and thumb. Same thing other side, so bring your awareness to the left side, index finger and thumb, and follow the breath all the way up through the left arm, across the chest, and exhale down through the right arm, out through the index finger and the thumb. Same thing, other side. So bringing your awareness to the right side. Gentle deep breath in, following the breath all the way up through the right arm and across the chest. Exhaling down through the left arm. One last time on the left side, bringing your awareness to the left index finger and thumb and following the breath all the way up through the left arm. Across the chest, and as you exhale, down through the right arm. Making a commitment right now to stay in the present moment, to not worry about what happened earlier or what you have on your to-do list for later. Allowing yourself to be present, be here in this moment right now, nowhere else to be, nothing else to do. And then when you're ready, quietly opening up your eyes and removing the block from underneath your sitting bones. So this isn't going to be a vinyasa flow where you will be constantly moving. This is going to be like a slow flow, more of a restorative session. So we're going to be taking a few deep breaths in each pose so you can get a nice gentle stretch throughout your hips, hopefully so that you will feel really good when you leave the practice. So to begin, we're going to do a forward fold. So extend your legs out in front of you. Now, if you are very tight, and only you know what you need, if you're very tight, sit on the edge of that block and extend your legs out in front of you. This is going to help give you a little extra space through your hamstrings. So if you're particularly tight through the hamstrings, you're going to want to use that block. If you're not as tight, you may not need the block. And in that case, you can bring the block down to the bottom of your feet and then remove the flesh from under your sitting bones. And wherever you are, sit nice and tall through your spine and then just walk your hands forward wherever they go comfortably. So if that's here, that's okay. If that's way down here, that's okay too. So for my more flexible people, You might want to use that block as something to grab onto with your hands to help pull your belly down towards your thighs. And that's really the mantra here for this. Belly towards thighs, not the head down to the knees. A lot of people are focused on the head down to the knees, but what that does is it compromises the position and it makes your back round, which gives you a really great stretch through your back, which is awesome if you're trying to stretch your back, but if you're trying to open up through your hamstrings, you really want to have the belly towards the thighs because that gives you a really good stretch through your hamstrings. So wherever you are, arrive into that position. Go ahead and close your eyes so you can go a little bit more inward. And belly towards thighs, that's what you're thinking here as you are breathing. I always encourage people to incorporate some sort of movement because sometimes a static hold, especially when you're really tight, is supremely uncomfortable. So if you have it in you to move side to side or to maybe undulate through your spine, please feel free to do that. That allows you, that undulation specifically, allows you to kind of back off from the pose and then exhale and melt down into the pose. So allow yourself the freedom to move however feels good for you. And you'll find that by spending a few moments in the pose but moving within the pose, you'll be able to open up even more. Couple more breaths here. And when you're ready, sit tall. Bring your hands underneath your knees. Begin to bend your legs. And bring the feet as close to the pelvis as you can. Wrapping your arms around the front of the shins, taking a deep breath in, rippling up through your spine so you're sitting nice and tall. And then as you exhale, bring chin to chest, round your back. Letting your head hang heavy and just breathe here. So this is a stretch for the back, but the back is connected to the hips. And so this is also a stretch for the hips as well. As you inhale, sit nice and tall. Keep the feet where they are, but you're going to open up through your knees. And as you do that, the inner arches of the feet will lift. And then if they do, when they do, press your feet together so the bottoms of the feet are touching for supta, just regular Baddha Konasana. So Cobblers pose. Supta means you're lying down. We're not there yet. So as you do this, you may find that your feet automatically come out away from you. If that happens, just pull your feet in as close to your pelvis as you comfortably can. Bring your thumbs in line, into the arches of the feet. Wrap your hands around the tops of the feet and begin to open the feet up like a book. If your knees are up like this just means you're very tight. That's okay. All you'll want to do is press into your inner legs with your elbows to help open up and find movement through the inner thighs. So if you're like this, that's okay. Just let it happen. Just breathe, and eventually over time you will open up. If you're pretty open through here, what you're going to want to do is continue to peel the feet open like a book. Keep your collarbones nice and broad and send your upper body forward. So the full expression of the pose has your chin down to the ground. If you don't get there today, that's okay, but you'll know that's where you want to go eventually, way down the line. Keep shoulder blades drawn toward one another so that your collarbones can stay nice and open, and then keep reaching out through the knees to open up through the inner thighs. Again, if you've got it in you to incorporate some sort of movement, whether it's like a side-to-side movement with your upper body, you can do that. That'll help you to back off the pose and then come back into it. You also have the option to undulate through your spine. So inhale, lengthen, and exhale, melt forward. Or if you'd like to stay in stillness, you can do that as well. From here, rise up. Bring your hands underneath your knees. This is just going to help protect the knees as you press gently and bring those knees together. From here, we're going to open up to a wide straddle. If you are somebody who's opened up like this and you can't really sit comfortably nice and tall and you find yourself like hunching down like this, it means that you're pretty tight. So what you're going to want to do is use that block, place it underneath your sitting bones and sit on the edge of that. That'll help you to be able to sit nice and tall like this without feeling like you're falling backwards. So take your legs as wide as you comfortably can, and then widen them a little bit more until you find what we call the edge, which is the part, that space where it doesn't actually feel comfortable, but it's definitely not pain. It's just tightness. It's a little bit of discomfort. That's okay. Discomfort is okay. Tightness is not. You're gonna have to use your own intuition here, and because once again, you know what's best for you. I can't see you, so I can't give you any recommendations for what you in particular should do, but I can tell you what you guys should look for. So if you're sitting nice and tall just like this and you do not have the aid of your block, you could take your block out in front of you and come out, fold out in front. Maybe you're here, maybe you're here, maybe you don't need the block and you're all the way out in front, belly to the ground. If you are somebody who is using the block to sit on, so that you can stay forward here, bring your hands either to the outside of your thighs so you can help push your upper body forward so you can find more openness through here, because this is probably very, very tight, which is why you have to sit on the block. And if you're feeling like this is all right and it's not painful, you can bring your hands down out in front. The arms are heavy, so they almost act like an anchor pulling you forward. So just be really careful, be really mindful of what's going on through your inner thighs, and always work within a pain-free range. So those are your options. You're back here or you're up here, depending on the tightness of your hips. So wherever you are, just get into the position that works best for you, and we'll begin to breathe. So you have some options to kind of quote unquote distract yourself from the discomfort of opening up when you're really tight. For this particular pose, you have the movement through the upper body that you can do. And that works whether you are back here or out in front. You also can play with the positioning of your feet. So you can bring your pinky toes back towards your face, or you can let the big toes go in. So you have that like side to side movement you can do. Or you can point the toes, flex the feet, point the toes, flex the feet. And you'll notice as you do that, you'll feel different sensations within your hamstrings and your inner thighs. So that's an option as well. You can also lift one arm, go side to side this way. So you have options, or you can stay in stillness if that feels good for you. Now, if there's something funky going on with your knee, what I suggest you do is kind of back off, bend your knees a little bit, shake it out, and then intend to straighten, but you don't want to hyperextend. So you can almost keep like a micro bend in the leg. So if somebody were looking at it, they wouldn't really see that you've bent your leg like this, because it's not like this. It's such a subtle movement that it's only something you really feel and not something that an outsider would see. So just be really mindful of that. And like I said, always work within a pain-free range. So with that seated forward fold that we did at the beginning, that's opening up through the hamstrings, the back of the legs. Then the Cobblers pose that opens up through the inner thighs. And now this pose, we're doing the inner thighs and also the hamstrings together. When you're ready, rise up. Hands underneath the knees, that helps to protect the hamstrings as you close. And from here, we're gonna come into pigeon pose. So let's do it with the left leg, right leg first. So your right knee is gonna come out in front of you, however is comfortable, and then your left leg will come back behind you. As your left leg comes back behind you, because you really wanna have that quad on the ground, and the left foot straight back behind you, your right hip might lift up. If it lifts up, it just means that you're really tight through your hips. So what you'll want to do is take your block and just gently place it underneath your sitting bones. And essentially, it's just going to help to keep you facing forward, because without it, you might like lean over to the side, or you'll be over to the side like this. And what we want here in this particular pose is a good stretch through the left hip flexor. So we need to face forward. The goal is to face forward here. So just position your block underneath your right sitting bone to help you facing forward if you need it. So this is part A for pigeon. There's two parts. Part A is you're sitting up nice and tall. You are puffed out through the chest like a pigeon. And this part of this pose stretches the hip flexor. When we come into part two, which is where the belly comes down to the ground, the arms extend, then you're getting into deeper into the right hip, the back of the right hip there. So just breathe wherever you are. And again, you have some options. If you are pretty tight, you'll just stay just like this. If you have more openness, you can bend that back leg. You can go ahead and grab the foot, but I would not recommend doing any of that if you are unable to sit facing forward without a prop underneath you. So don't force it. You'll get there eventually, don't force it. So that's an option. You can bring that foot into the elbow crease and do mermaid pose. Whatever feels really good for you, go ahead and do that. And then when you're ready to go into part two, you'll just bring your arms out in front of you and your head down to the ground. And as you settle in, just scan your body for any areas of tension, seeing where you can let go a little bit more. As you inhale, rise up. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders. Curl your left toes, lift your left knee, step back into plank pose, and then we'll take it over to the other side. So the left knee will come out in front, right leg back behind you, and then just turn and make sure that your right foot goes straight back behind you because sometimes it tends to splay out to the side. For part A, you have the option to keep the hips facing forward by using a prop underneath you. Or maybe you don't need the prop. Hands will be underneath the shoulders. Roll your shoulders back, puff your chest out, and breathe in through the right hip flexor. Now, if you are facing forward and you don't need a prop, you do have the option to bend that back leg, grab hold of the foot, do whatever feels good for you, but don't force anything. If you do need that prop, I wouldn't recommend bending the back leg at all, just until you open up a little bit more and can do it on your own without the prop. When you're ready for part 2, come forward with your arms, letting your upper body melt down. Now you're bringing the stretch into the back of the left hip. So let your whole body be heavy, and with each exhale, sink into the ground. As you inhale, rise up and gently release and extend your legs out in front of you. Now instead of doing a Shavasana, we're gonna do a supported bridge pose. So to get there, just come to lie down on your back and lift your hips, send your prop underneath you. And you want to position it so that it can take the entire weight of your hips. We're going to be here for about 3 to 5 minutes. So as you exhale, allow your body to melt into the prop. Scan your body from your head to your toes just to check in, see if you're holding any tension anywhere. And then if you find tension, use your breath to kind of zap it away. And then settle in. And I'll let you know when the time is up. When you're ready, begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. And then press into your heels to lift your hips up. Slide the block out from underneath you. Bring your knees into your chest. Then from here, roll over onto your right side. Deep breath in. And exhale, press yourself up into a comfortable seated position. Bring your hands to your heart. Go ahead and close your eyes, just taking a moment to acknowledge your practice and giving thanks for your health. And when you're ready, seal it in. Namaste. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below in the comment section and I will do my best to answer. If you're interested in ordering my book, Namaste, it is now available on Amazon, at Barnes & Noble, and most major bookstores everywhere. And starting in January of 2018, I am unveiling our podcast, which is called Namaste with Yoga by Candace. It's available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and anywhere you listen to podcasts. So be sure to search for it, subscribe it, and rate and download. Thanks so much for tuning in. I will see you very soon at the Yoga by Candace YouTube channel.